So in 2021, we celebrated a milestone. We have housed over 350 individuals. And what's impressive about this number is that we've done this all at an annual cost of less than $1,000 per person. And despite there being a global pandemic and rising rates of homelessness, we grew our team and are getting ready to scale our programs to a new city, Pensacola, Florida. So I want to dig into this impact a little bit more because I think this is really the cusp of why we invited you to join us today, and share some stats which you will see in our impact report, which you'll receive by email and mail in the next few weeks. So of the 350 individuals housed, 137 of those continue to renew their leases within our landlord participation program and with Lotus campaign support. 107 individuals have successfully graduated and moved on to other housing on their own. And I think what's critical about those two numbers is sustainability. So our landlord participation program is providing a housing solution not just for a week or a month, but for a minimum of a year, and in some cases multiple renewal terms while someone is rebuilding their lives. And our average annual cost to place and keep someone in housing is $960. And I want to break the $960 down for you. If you compare this to the cost of an uninsured emergency room visits, which someone experiencing homelessness is estimated to have at least 5 emergency room visits per year, that number is $6,600. Or if you can compare the $960 to the average cost to house someone in a hotel for a month. In Charlotte, that number is nearly $6,000. In New York City, $11,000, and the national average is close to $4,500. And why I'm pointing out these numbers is to show just how much it costs to apply the same temporary bandages that we've been using for a long time, and compare those to the tools that Lotus is creating with a little bit of imagination and a deep understanding of the market gaps in existing solutions.
Homelessness affects every single person in the community. City government, the community, every business, hospitals, schools, police department, rescue squads, fire department, and every single person in one way or another. So it is a community issue. I mean, we're spending on average about $40,000 per year per homeless person, and if nothing else, that is increasing your tax number. We have to figure out a way to spend that money more efficiently. One is to work to dispel these myths and misunderstandings about what's going on. 2 is to prove that our economic approach of working with homelessness is viable. 3 is that the private sector can play a critical role. And 4 is that to prove that it is possible to address homelessness in an economically viable manner. So how does a tiny little 5013C based in Charlotte do that on this type of social issue with the for-profit world? Quite frankly, the for-profit world has not even been involved in the social issues, and yet it affects their business in a way that they know they need to be involved, they just don't know how. And there are certain parameters that, they are a for-profit world and they have to meet the needs of their capital investors. And so there's this balancing act. But what we've found is, I describe to people, we're the cream in the Oreo cookie. So we have 2 diverse groups, the governments and nonprofits in the for-profit world, and they don't speak the same language. They're not normally talking to each other, they're not working together, and we have come up with a way that kind of causes them to stick together and allows them to work together. And sometimes we're just a translation service trying to teach them how to talk to each other. Other times we're trying to explain how one side's point of view is actually valid and how we can work around those things. But our whole model is that this can work if you're just willing to take the steps that are necessary and willing to listen to the other side of the equation, and with one goal in mind: how do we help that person get housing, period. And you've got to leave your ego behind, you've got to leave your preconceived notions behind. And what we've been able to do is that we get a landlord and we talk to them about taking one person. That's all we ask. And then it goes so well that we'll say, well, how about a few more? And the next thing you know, you've opened up 50, 60 units that are now available in a program that would have never been there. And I think that's the big issue that people don't realize. These social service programs, they have the ability to place people in housing. They just can't find units that will accept their tenants. And that's what Lotus was trying to do with its landlord participation. Just make those units available. And that's been our success.
So I'll start it and I'll let Phil close up the answer. And we, since launching, have actually had a tremendous amount of inquiry and interest. And I think between Phil and I, we've probably had conversations with 25 plus communities, everything from larger cities that some of you reside in to smaller communities. You know, part of what I mentioned in the beginning is that Lotus was built to be replicable and scalable. And so the first step towards that is our expansion into Pensacola, which is starting now, and then really using the lessons from that to continue to grow. And where we are not able to scale, we're going to give away the gold of how we do it. So teaching others how to do what we do. I think, as you all know, some of you run startups, it takes money and investment in your infrastructure to grow. So there are communities we've spoken to that understand that and want to be partners and have some skin in the game with us. And so we're interested in those communities, of course. And there are ones that they're not at that place. But like I said before, I do a lot of conversations and just sharing of what we do, why it matters, and the key things for them to consider, especially places where it probably is not feasible for us to go. And then, you know, something that is not really part of this briefing, but we have launched a scaling capital campaign, which Michelle and I are going to be on the road a little bit with various friends of ours from the real estate and investment communities in other cities, talking about our model, talking about our plans for growth and expansion, because homelessness is an issue everywhere, and it feels very local and unique to our own backyards, but it is a national issue. And you know, Lotus was set up to be a tool that can help contribute to the solutions and just bring more people into the fold in more than just Charlotte.
There is one last thought from me, which is I'll just ask everybody to keep in mind, is that a lot of us had predicted that COVID would greatly increase the number of homeless, and through a system of government intervention, that was postponed, it turns out. And now that those programs are gone, we're in a time of rapidly rising rents, and people who've come out without the support of COVID, and the number of homeless is currently on the rise, fairly rapid rise. And so the need for our services, the need for finding solutions is even greater today than it's ever been. So your support is very important to us, and getting the word out about what we're trying to do is also very important. So thank you.